So, you're heading to college in Florida. Awesome. But you've probably heard some chatter about this thing called the PERT test. What is it? Is it hard? Well, we're going to demystify the whole thing for you right here, right now.
Whether you're a high school senior getting your applications in, or you're getting ready to start at any of Florida's 28 public colleges, you are in exactly the right place. We are going to cover everything you need to know about this test.
And hey, if you're a little confused, that's totally normal. What is it for? Do I even have to take it? What kind of questions are on it? Don't worry, we've got you. We're going to answer all of those questions.
Okay, let's start with the biggest question on everyone's mind. Do you actually need to take this test? Because, believe it or not, a lot of students don't. Let's figure out if you might be exempt. All right, the main way to be exempt is for students who came up through the Florida public school system. But it's very specific. You got to meet all 3 of these requirements. First, you started 9th grade in a Florida public school, anytime from 2003 onward. Second, you graduated from a Florida public high school. And third, you earned a standard Florida high school diploma. If you can check all 3 of those boxes, then congratulations, you're exempt.
So let's just make this super simple. On one side, you have people who are likely exempt. That's going to be most Florida public school grads who meet those 3 rules we just talked about, and also active duty members of the military. Now, on the other side, you're likely going to have to take the PERT if you went to a private school, if you were homeschooled, if you got a GED, or if you graduated high school in another state.
So, if you're in that second group and you're not exempt, what exactly is this thing you have to take? Let's break down what the PERT test is all about.
You know, the name kind of says it all. It's the Postsecondary, which just means after high school, education readiness test. Its only job, its entire purpose, is to get a snapshot of your skills in math, reading, and writing. That way, your college knows which classes you should start in.
Okay, now this is the most important thing I'm going to say, so listen close. You cannot pass or fail the PERT. Seriously, this is not a test you get a grade on. It's just a tool to make sure you're not sitting in a class that's way too easy for you, or, even worse, struggling in a class that's way too advanced. It's all about finding that perfect starting spot for you.
So, how does it work? Well, it's a computer test, and it's actually pretty smart. It's computer adaptive, which is a fancy way of saying the questions change based on your answers. If you get one right, the next one might get a little tougher. If you get one wrong, it might ease up a bit. And here's the best part. It is untimed. You can take as long as you need. There are 3 sections, and each one has 30 questions.
All right, so what kind of stuff are you actually going to see on the test? Let's pull back the curtain and take a look inside each of the 3 sections.
Okay, let's just jump right in with the one that gives most people sweaty palms, the math section. But really, knowing what's coming is half the battle.
So the math section really zeroes in on your algebra skills with a little bit of geometry mixed in. You should expect to see problems where you're solving different kinds of equations, working with polynomials, and answering questions about graphs on coordinate planes. It's all about those fundamental algebra concepts. And here is a super important practical tip for you. You cannot bring your own calculator. But for some questions, this little 4-function calculator will pop up right on your screen. So you'll have some help when you need it, but it also means you really need to know your basic math rules like the order of operations for the questions where it doesn't appear.
Okay, math is in the rearview mirror. Moving on. The second part of the PERT is the reading section. Let's see what they're looking for here.
This part is all about how well you understand what you read. Can you read a paragraph and figure out the main point? Can you tell what a tricky word means just by looking at the sentences around it? They also want to see if you can figure out why an author wrote something and if you can spot the difference between a solid fact and someone's personal opinion. And for the grand finale, we have the writing section. Now don't panic, you're not going to be writing a 5-page essay. This is more about knowing the rules of the road for good writing.
Yep, this is where all that stuff you learned about grammar, punctuation, and how to build a proper sentence comes into play. The test is looking to see if you can organize ideas logically, identify a clear main point, and use those little transition words that make writing flow and sound smooth.
So, you've made it through all 3 sections. What happens next? Well, you get your scores almost instantly. But what do those numbers actually mean? Let's decode them. First things first, the basic scale. For each section, math, reading, and writing, your score will be somewhere between 50 and 150.
Okay, now this table is where the rubber meets the road. These are what we call cut scores, and they tell the college if you're ready for college-level classes right away.
So, for example, if you get a 114 or higher in math, you'll probably go straight into a class like intermediate algebra. For English, you need to hit both the reading score of 106 and the writing score of 103 to get into freshman composition 1. If your scores are below these cutoffs, no big deal. It just means you'll likely start in a prep class to help you build up your skills first.
All right, you now know what the test is, what's on it, and what the scores mean. So the only thing left is, how do you get ready? Let's put together a game plan.
The official guide has 4 really simple but powerful tips. Number 1, prepare. Actually study a bit beforehand. 2, read the directions for each question carefully. 3, use your common sense. If an answer looks totally wrong, eliminate it. And 4, always double-check your answer before you click submit, because once you move on, you can't go back.
And here's the best news of all. You do not have to spend a ton of money to get ready. There are so many fantastic and totally free resources out there. You can find official PERT study guides online, use amazing tools like Khan Academy, and, this is a big one, take free practice tests to see where you're at. Honestly, using these resources is the best thing you can do to feel prepared.
So, just remember, the PERT isn't a gatekeeper trying to keep you out of college. It's more like a friendly guide, trying to point you to the right classroom on your first day. It's your chance to show what you know so you can start your college journey on the right foot. You have all the info you need now to walk in there with confidence. You've got this. Good luck.